Good
So
morning.
good morning, Tara. Good morning, everybody. And this is kind of bittersweet meeting today because it's the end of this series of COVID once a week meetings. The next meeting will be in 4 weeks' time, which will be the 24th of August. And there's a real reason for that, mainly because we have been given so much information over the last 16 weeks that the next 4 weeks particularly will be an ideal opportunity to put a lot of that, or most of it actually, into practice. And that's what's really exciting. So if we go back to the title of today's talk, which is, are we out of the third dimension? What is the COVID? What's COVID doing? What are we going to do out of that? And what they'd first like to remind you of is what that third dimensional life looks like before COVID. And for the majority of the population. So the majority of the population live in this third dimension, which is they assume that their thoughts and their life is all about, everything is about thoughts. Everything is about who they are in that moment, or who they are in relation to their work, in the relationship to their marital status, who they are as a parent or and a job. All of that, the status of the third dimension is really, really important. And the consciousness of the third dimension is actually 99% run on subconscious mind, subconscious thoughts. And we've lived like that as a race for so many years now. Is that in here, in this third dimensional life, life is about survival. Life is about putting food on the table, putting shelter over your head, clothes on your back. It's all about survival. Now, when you're in survival, there is no room to explore anything else. Now, we have been given this opportunity this last 16 or so weeks to clear out so much clutter. So I don't know how many of you have had dejuncts. You've dejunked your cupboards, you've dejunked all sorts of things. You've had decluttering of material things. Now, if we just look at material things as an energy and your vibration towards the material object, if you have, say, a piece of art that you love and it lifts your heart, every time you see it, you think, I love that picture. Just something about that. And it gives that lift to you. If you have an old vase sitting in the corner of the room that great granny gave you, and you weren't very keen on great granny, but you feel that you ought to keep the vase, hopefully by now, you would have had the confidence to let that go and not be held by those material vibrational hold-ons. Do you see? So if you have materially decluttered, my goodness me, can you imagine how much resistance you have taken out of your life? The reason they call it resistance is because when you have something that doesn't necessarily please you, your subconscious mind is justifying to you why you're keeping it. So go back to Granny's vase in the corner of the room. The moment you see it, your vibration dips and thinks, I don't really like that vase, even though you're not consciously out loud thinking it. It's a momentary fleeting thing. I don't like that vase. And then the whole of the justification why you're keeping the vase is also, it's so far back you're not even hearing it. So it's all going on without you recognizing it. Now that's just one vase. Can you imagine what your energy is doing when you look at the clutter that you've accumulated over years in your shed or in your garage or in your paperwork? So hopefully everybody has taken advantage of releasing junk around them. So by now, everything you look at pleases you. And if it doesn't, use these next few weeks to really use this information and say, actually, every single object in my house, does it please me? Maybe you could gather up all the bits of objects that you don't like and go and sell them, and then go and buy yourself a piece of marvelous art or a pair of beautiful bathroom taps. Do things for yourself. So that's the material dejunking. So you can imagine the energy release from that. And then we have, many people have done a physical dejunk. So they're not eating as much junk food because it hasn't been available anyway. We've had more time to prepare food, more time to think about it, more time to actually appreciate where the food's coming from and how easy we had it before. We could just pop to the shops and just get the food and come, and suddenly there's huge appreciation that actually food is quite easy to come by, but we've had to think of another way. So I think a lot of people have, again, had a re-look at the physical body and said, and had time to say, do you know what, I like these morning walks, or I like getting on my exercise bike in the afternoon, or I like doing this yoga, and I'm going to incorporate that. However, the biggest clearing, of course, and the biggest purging has been our karmic rebalance. And it has been a rebalance, and it has been a purging for most. Some of us had already done a lot of it, but personally, this time has accelerated everything for me. I thought we'd done all of the work that I needed to do, and yet this last couple of months, 3 months, has just been eye-opening of what energy we carry around. It's fascinating. And if you really get to a stage where you say, well, I have nothing else to clear and nothing else to do, it's your subconscious mind, your ego mind saying, I'm not taking this any further. Because actually, there's always something else to do. There's always something else to learn. Not anything else to purge. Once you've purged something, the same as when you've had a declutter. My friend and I were talking the other day, and I was saying it's like decluttering and putting everything into a bin bag, and then putting the bin bag by the door, knowing it's going to the charity shop or into the bin. You know you can still go in there and get something out if you change your mind. Now we have to literally get rid of it. So we have to look now at these old beliefs, these old emotional baggage that we've been carrying, and hopefully over these last few months that has raised to the surface, it has been triggered, and we have been brave enough to look at it. Now, in a third dimensional consciousness, you would not look at anything you've been triggered. You would be blaming out to everybody else. It's the COVID fault, it's Joe Bloggs down the street's fault, it's whoever's fault you perceive it to be. It's somebody else's fault. When you're on the spiritual journey, as far as those of you that are watching this, you really, really get that it's not anybody else's creation but yours. So the cause and effect, you can understand now you are causing whatever effects you're getting into your life. So we've done so much emotional baggage clearing. So if you imagine one of us here, not only have we got physically fit, the energy around us is clearer, and now we're getting mentally fitter, and we're raising into the fifth dimensional consciousness. This fifth dimensional consciousness is when we absolutely get that we are the fifth dimensional consciousness. We are experiencing life in the body. Therefore, we live daily, every day, in this fifth dimensional perspective. Even now, we're dipping in, dipping out, dipping in, dipping out. To further our progress now, it's going to benefit us to have our thoughts aligning with what we would like to experience out of life. To get our thoughts aligning with what we would like to experience, we have to get those beliefs aligned. So once you have examined a belief system, and then you go into that and alter it, change it, decide whether you want to keep it, that belief system can then be thought out into consciousness. You brought it out of this subconscious rumbling into consciousness and decide what you believe now. You can let this go and live from now in this fifth dimensional consciousness, because life isn't so scary when you're living from this dimension, in this dimension. And if anybody hasn't shifted anything, then I think the next 10 days or so is going to be quite an eye-opener. We'll explain why at the end of this video. So we called upon ourselves this COVID. We called it to us. Each soul in each body in this lifetime was calling out for this reset. We knew we volunteered to come to this lifetime. We knew that it was to heal that not just the planet, but other people as well. What we have only just realized is the depth of our own personal healing. And that's been the most painful of all, because we really have, most of healers in the room here reached a level of healing when you understood how helpful that was, and then launched into going out and healing the whole world. Because of the COVID, because of this gift we were given, we had no choice but to look at ourselves. Now, you can make the choice not to look at yourself. That's still a choice. But if you've grabbed it with both hands and been fascinated with yourself and been fascinated with what your experiences have been, you will be a very different person now from where we went in. Because where we went in, it was unavoidable that there was fear. The group consciousness of fear, of the unknown, of coming out of this normal. We have been in this not normal for such a long time that this is now normal. But if you catch it at the peak of what it is now, because we haven't yet exploded back out into the world, it's tentative, it's beginning. Another benefit to this rest that we've had is that we haven't produced any more karma in a fierce way. So if you were somebody, for instance, who always suffered road rage, so therefore you kept getting more and more opportunities to suffer road rage, being under lockdown, you haven't been out of your car, so you haven't suffered road rage, and therefore that karmic energy can now drop. It's not still out there, unless you want to get back out in your car and go and experience that again. It will now be a choice. And hopefully, because of this experience of studying self, we have dropped judgment of who we are and why we are, and become curious about it. And when we become curious about who we are and why we do things the way we do, the actions that we take, we become far more compassionate to other people and why they do the things they do. You can't be a judge once you understand that each one is going through their own personal journey. And it's not right or wrong, good or bad, wherever they are on the journey. It is simply where they are. But when you're in survival, you have to look at everybody as a possible threat or a possible friend. When you're out of survival into oneness, everybody's your friend. Even that person that makes you so angry is your friend. And you understand that and you get that. And hopefully, what else has been experienced is through the experience of boredom, through the experience of what shall I do with myself, through the experience of so many experiences, and each one of you will have a different experience of where you went into the fear when we went into lockdown, and how every fear actually has had to be faced, and we're coming out of lockdown. Now, are you still in fear? Are you in fear that there's going to be a second wave? Are you hanging on to every news story to see what they think? Are you waiting for a prediction to say, is there going to be a second wave? The question they're asking you is whether there is or whether there isn't. Does that change your vibrational output? Does it change how you feel? Because if you have cleared all the junk from the emotional baggage, it would not fear you whether there is a second wave or not. Do you see? Because you would just be content with what is. It wouldn't put you into fear. It wouldn't put you into, oh, that's so inconvenient. Because even the inconvenience, when you panic about inconvenience, even that is fear. It's the fear of lacking of control. When we realize we cannot control anything but ourselves and our actions, then whether COVID has a second spike or not, whether we have a secondary lockdown or not, really is very, very immaterial. And if you can really feel that, then you can understand why and how manifestation works. Because everything that you have gained from these few months, it's all there. It's all there to be more and more experienced. So why would we dip into the fear that we went into the first time? Because actually, for most of us, however painful this journey has been this last few months, have come out of it knowing more about ourselves than we did when we went in. We have become more self-centered. Not selfish, that's slightly different, I think, but self-centered. We're beginning to say, I appreciate me in this, or I don't like my behavior in this, I don't like who I am in relation to that. We've had time to reflect, time to think. And when you can get to the stage where we have in alignment our beliefs, our thoughts, our feelings, and therefore our actions, when all four of those are in alignment, the world becomes magical. The doors open, everything is just flowing, and it's beautiful. And by now, we can all feel when we're in fifth dimensional consciousness and when we actually dip into the stress more of third dimension. So we can actually be aware. Now, it's not saying it's not going to happen. It doesn't say it doesn't. You know what I mean? We haven't got to that stage where we can all just sing and hum through life. We will get there, but we're not there yet. But when we do dip into this third dimensional consciousness, which is running life from subconscious fears, we are so aware of it from our higher consciousness that we become aware we must be that higher consciousness. This isn't some fairy story that we've been told is there, like our higher self is there. When we understand that we're watching our stuff going on here, it's such, when you really get that, it's an understanding that can never get you back in here and really scared. What if you dip into here for any reason, you don't know what to do about something, or something isn't happening that you want to happen as quickly as you'd like it to happen, then rather than sit and get all upset that this thing isn't happening, whatever that is, it could be anything, a new job, a house move, a new partner coming in, a new experience. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're stuck and it's not happening, we've got room now, because we've cleared out a lot of the other clutter. We have room now to look and say, right, so if there was something still holding you back, if there's still a belief and understanding that's still stopping me going forward, what could that be? What would that be? So we're looking from the higher consciousness as a real interest to see who we are, rather than be who we are and expect everybody else to confirm that we're okay. Because we do that a lot. You know, am I okay? Do you still love me today? Am I okay? I've done this. Are you proud of me? I've done this. What do you think of me now? We look outside ourselves very, very often when we're feeling very insecure. We look outside ourselves for approval. And again, over the last 4 months, the only person that's been around really to approve of you is yourself. There have been in everybody's lives these moments where there isn't anything filling those gaps. We've had to look. Now, what's exciting now is that we have the 8-8 Lionsgate coming up. And just nod if you've heard about the 8-8 Lionsgate. Yeah, just 1 or 2 nods there. It's a fascinating time, and I've always loved it. It's always been described to me as the next, we're spirals, spiral. And we go round and round and round and round and round and round and round on the same spiral until we get to that exit point where we go into the next energy. And the 8-8 portal has always been where the light and the energy comes through and we move into the next spiral, if we choose to. So there's great big doors open saying, would you like to live in this fifth dimensional consciousness of flow, beauty, love, enjoyment, bliss? Or would you like to stay behind for a little while longer and enjoy a more third dimensional life of worry and stress and anger and frustration and grief and all those lower vibrations. It really is that clear. Really is that clear now. The amount of people that are just about ready to move home in my friends, family and clients is quite amazing. They're just ready to make this shift. The amount of clients that are leaving partnerships, again, ready to make this shift. And this 8/8 portal it starts opening about the 26th, 28th of this month. And where they show me that the effects of it will last through until about the 12th of August. We can really use that new energy for new beginnings. So if you haven't quite made that jump, whatever that leap is, to let something go or bring something in to your life, now is the time to really examine your next movement, your next step, your next belief, whatever that is. So if it is that you have decided you are going to let go of a lack mind, a lack vibration, a lack poverty situation, then spend the next few days asking yourself, what are those beliefs? If you really are alone and you want to share your life with somebody, don't be wishy-washy to the universe. Be honest with yourself. If you want to share your life with somebody, what's stopping you? What's stopping that person being magnetized to you right now? Well, the universe, you won't want to bring it in on this level. You want to bring your next relationship on this level. You don't want to be dipping into unless you do. Do you see that we have choices? But do you want to dip into a third dimensional vibrational relationship? Now, hopefully you all understand what that means, because a lot of us have been attached to those third dimensional relationships in many relationships, marriages, just relationships in any type, where everything is about power struggle, everything is about control or manipulation. Are you ready to leave that now? Are you ready to have a really blissful sharing of a soul meeting in this lifetime? And if you are, do you deserve it? Are you ready for it? Are you opening your heart? Say, yeah, I'm going through this door and I'm going to meet the person of my dreams this side of this lion's gate, not this side of it, because I've got a few more bits to clear up first. So supposing you had a messy home and you thought, right, if I meet somebody, would I invite them home today? No, because my home's too messy. Well, get on and clean your mess. Oh, I'd love to meet somebody, but when I meet somebody, I'm about a stone overweight, so I'm going to lose weight when I meet somebody. No. Start getting ready now, because you're going to be living in fifth dimensional consciousness. And the beauty of fifth dimensional consciousness is manifestation happens incredibly quickly. So it's really vital to understand that this is no joke. What we're putting out, what we're thinking, what we're believing, what we're feeling, it works. And it not only works, it works really, really quickly. And there's no point in doing this 45% of the time and then dipping back into here 55% of the time, because the scales tip down into third dimension. And then you are creating more karma of the same. So if you're going back out there, doing something you don't want to do, just don't do it now. Because the more you do it, the more you're putting action into something, then the more it's going to come to you. So if there is something that you used to do that you ought to do, or somebody's asking you to do, but you don't want to do it anymore, be brave enough to say, no, that does not make me happy now. I choose not to do that. It's so vitally important that we go into self-centeredness. We cannot make other people happy at the expense of our own happiness. There's no virtue in it. There's no virtue in it. It's like that old airplane thing, you know, when the mask comes down. And that makes sense, doesn't it? If you're not breathing, you cannot help other people. It's exactly the same as this. things are going to get brighter. There's going to be so much more energy coming through over these next coming weeks. It's precious and exciting. It's about the accumulation of everything you've put together. And I think by now most of you have all the videos we've put out. So go back to the first one and listen and think about how you felt when that first video. Do you remember the first video? We said something like, let's make the most of this. Let's really look at it. But none of us knew what was happening. All of us were in confusion. We didn't know what this future held. But we've all survived it. Haven't we? And we've come out the other end. And it is time now. This is another thing that happens with this 8/8 portal gate opening, is that it shifts another layer of third dimensional consciousness beings. So they'll be kicked into action. So this is when whatever you feel your life purpose is, this is when you can take it up again or improve it and come back out, but from a higher vibration, because you're no longer in it. Because you've sorted it and you're calm about you now. Can you imagine the different healing that you can give from this level of clearance than from this level of clearance? And when we were attempting to heal from this level of clearance, not only did we have our own vibrations bogging us down, but we had the earthly vibrations of everybody else's consciousness bogging down as well. This COVID has split the difference. There's a huge difference between those going back out and doing the same thing over again and those that aren't. If that balance tips, yes, we'll get a second wave. If we haven't learned what we needed to learn, if we haven't come out of this improved in a balance that says this is a much nicer way to live, then we will be shut down again, locked down again, not through any political reason, not through any conspiracy theory, although you can hook your frustrations and angers onto those if you want to, but there's no point. There's no point. The point would be, wow, then if we're being in lockdown again, that's the universe. I'm in this stream of energy. I'm in this creation. I've created this for myself. Then I must have more to examine, more to look at, more to clear out. And it's true. I know that I'm coming out of this lockdown, looking around the house going, well, I did most of the cupboards. There's a few more still to do. Didn't quite get round to that one up there, that really, or I didn't quite get up to the loft, or whatever it is for you. So if we go into another lockdown, or if you put yourself into a voluntary lockdown, it's because you know that it's going to be so much, life is going to be so much brighter when we're through this COVID, through our own stuff. Because when there's enough of us, when the balance comes in that we're all living from this fifth dimension, we won't be in the level of COVID anyway. It'll just die out. There's no need. There's just simply no need. There's no exciting. At this stage, are there any questions while we're taking a breath?
Nothing in the chat box at the moment, but there might be. I'll let you know if something comes in.
Okay, there they go. Yeah, okay. So for the next few weeks, without these Monday morning meetings, why not put this time away for yourself? If you have no other time all through the week at all for yourself, why not say, this is my 1 hour that I think about me? That whatever else happens, I know I can put this hour away because we've done it for 16 weeks, most of us for the whole time. I know I can put this hour away. And even if you can mentally think it's Monday morning, it's spiritual day. It's that day we are all enlightened for a day. It'd be interesting to see whether over the next 4 weeks, not having these Monday mornings sinks you back into this. or whether you have been given enough guidance and understanding to widen your own wings, to expand your own wings, and to dry out your own wings. I always think of the butterfly coming out of the caterpillar. You know, there's a stage where it's so vulnerable, that butterfly coming out of the cocoon. And even when it comes out of the cocoon, and have you ever seen a butterfly? It lies out and it's all sticky. It is so vulnerable. And then suddenly it starts flying. And then it flies, and then it has the life it deserves. Doesn't mean that the life as a caterpillar had any less meaning. Of course it didn't. How would it become a butterfly if it hadn't been a caterpillar? And how would it appreciate being a butterfly if it hadn't been a caterpillar? We're the same. We can appreciate now the help, the guidance, the teamwork that is in the unseen, to give us, our planetary system, our friends, our acquaintances, our families, they all can benefit when we are happy in ourselves, when we carry bliss, when we carry peace. Do you know why? Because when someone comes to you with a problem or challenge of their own, when you've dealt with all your own stuff, you can look at it without judgment, without hooking into one of your experiences. You know the outcome. So when someone comes with you as a challenge, you can give them a higher perspective, a different perspective. And when we're walking our walk like that on a daily basis, life changes. When you're so happy in yourself that you can walk contentedly into a shop, then you have time to look around and put the violet flame around, or ask the assistant how they're coping with the day. When you're in third dimensional worry, fear, am I going to get COVID? How many people have got their masks on? That person hasn't got a mask on. This is going to happen. It's going to be all that, blah, 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 blah. But when you're already content that whether it does or doesn't, you're just going to go your own sweet merry way, you have room to give out. And when you're giving out from your heart and it's genuine, you're a magnet to magical people. Have you not ever found that? You go out really, really happy, and all these people just start talking to you and magnetize to you, and you have such a happy day. Go out with your head down, miserable because it's cold and you've got things on your mind and things on your plate, and the world that owes you a favor, and everything's against you. You have no eyes for everybody else. You have no eyes for the beauty of a rose in your garden, because we're down here. Now, we have the opportunity to live the rest of our lives from an advantage point of seeing why we're here, which we have not had for thousands of years in our lifetime. So this breakthrough is going to be painful. Just growing pains are painful. I shouldn't think it's painless going from a caterpillar to a butterfly. I should think somewhere in there that's a bit painful. It is hard work, but we're mostly through it. There may be that one thing you still need to let go of that's hanging on for dear life. This is the next few weeks is the opportunity to say, if I'm going into this fifth dimensional life where everything is bliss, everything is happy, do I want to take insecurity with me? Do I want to take judgment of my body with me? Do I want to take the attitude of lack with me? If you imagine, we're not actually flying anywhere, but imagine that we are actually traveling into this. And it's the only way we can describe it really, because we are so linear. But if you imagine we're traveling into this blissful situation, do you want to take heavy jumpers into the sunshine? Or just let the jumpers go and give them to somebody who's going to appreciate them? But not to the extent of poverty. Do you see? We do not go back into this. I have to get rid of everything, and I can't be materialistic. That is the one thing that we need to get out of our psyche. Yes, be materialistic, but be materialistic from this point of view, not from a lack point of view. Wouldn't it be lovely if I had a hot tub in the garden? Wouldn't it be lovely if I had a bigger house? Wouldn't it be lovely if I could buy my kids a car? Wouldn't it be lovely? Yeah. And when you're looking from this point of view, it's all going on, and you're just creating it and creating it and creating, because there's no lack. If you're coming from here as, oh, I never deserved that, it would have been nice, you know, I wish I could provide enough for my kids to actually do this. The feeling's different, the thoughts are different, the vibration's different, and what's coming back at you is different. So I'm hoping that we have, I say, over this last few months, really, really instilled in you how you're creating your own experiences. How even sitting here, you've created this. This is an effect of something. You see, you are the cause of your life. If you want your life to be different, you have to do something differently. If there's something that you want differently in your life, you have to change your way of thinking. You have to find that belief, change it, and then move into expectancy of it. And then, because we have this swathe of people awakening, we can catch them. We can catch them walking down the street. We can catch them in a shop. We can say a little saying to somebody to lift their day. We can put a £5 in a tip box. We can do all that because we're walking on air practically. So if you're still dipping into this, rather than think, I'm still worried about this, I'm still worried about this, I'm still worried about this, why not say, what benefit am I getting from worrying about it? How does it make me feel worrying about it? So you go into why you're continuing, because you'll be getting a benefit. If you're worrying about something, there's a benefit to your subconscious mind to worry about it. So ask yourself, what's the benefit of all this worry? I must be enjoying it in some way, or am I getting sympathy for it? Am I asking for attention for it? Or all of that. Do you see all those questions come back into play? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I feeling the way I'm feeling? What am I thinking to be feeling the way I'm feeling? To be doing the things I'm doing? Okay, bring it back. Why am I doing this? Because I think this. Why do I think this? Because I believe that. Why do I believe that? Oh, because that's somewhere here. Change this, change this, change this. The whole thing changes. But we're in control of it. If you know that you can't gossip about anybody ever again, if you can't blame anybody else for your predicament ever again, you're in the fifth dimension. If you, at every opportunity that comes in, you look at it as a challenge to experience more of who you are rather than a problem that you can't solve, you're living in the fifth dimension. And then if you're going and spreading that knowledge and spreading that love and putting it out there as a radiance from your heart 24/7, you're living in the fifth dimension. So most of us are already a lot of the time living here, but we are still dipping into this, where life is coming at us and we're accordingly working from there. We need to be not in our ivory tower, but just in this place of peace. And when we don't feel the place of peace, dip down and find out why. And why is that serving us? I'm in a grump today. Why am I in a grump today? What are you going to do about it? If I wake up in a grump, I sit down and give myself 20 minutes. I go, okay, I have 20 minutes in a grump. You get bored after about 2 or 3 minutes. Then you can say to yourself, well, that was interesting. Why did I wake up in a grump? Because I didn't get enough sleep, or because this was on my mind last night, or whatever it was. And then you can unpick all that. What was on my mind last night? Right, what's bothering me about that? What's the beginning of that? Where's the belief in that? It isn't nearly as hard work as it sounds. It does sound hard work, but we've done the hard work. We've broken through. We're out of the shell like a little chick. We've broken through into this fifth dimensional availability. But the third dimensional life ability is still there. So if when EastEnders, Carnation Street and Emmerdale all start refilming and you can't wait for them to get back on the television, you know you haven't actually shifted from before. Not that I'm criticizing anybody who watches those programs, but when you're living here, why would you watch somebody else going through hell when you can go and have heaven in that same half an hour? It wouldn't occur to you, do you see? It wouldn't occur to you to come out your bliss to sit down and watch somebody shouting at each other on a television program. It doesn't compute. But if you can't wait for these soap operas to come back on, or your programs to come back on, then you're thinking, well, then it's worth thinking, right, what am I perceiving I'm missing then? Some sort of drama? Why do I like the drama in my life? Do I get the attention when I have drama in my life? Why do I need that? Oh, because when I was a child, I was surrounded by other brothers and sisters, and I didn't get the attention. So you go, oh, but do I need that now? Another belief comes forward. Or perhaps you were so mollycoddled as a child, you never had the chance to experience feelings. You may have to go back in there this next few days before the 8th of the 8th. But if you look at that 8th of the 8th, as I've looked every single year, actually, on the 8th of the 8th, it's one of those things they showed me a long time ago. So you can either sort of stay on the wheel and go round again here, or you can really say, yeah, I'm jumping on the fast train. I'm on the fast track. I'm going to use this extra energy, this extra light that we've been given from above. We've been given, poured down on us. So we mentioned last week, the light's opening, the doors are opening, the gates are opening for all this information, all this love, all this light. But if we're shut off down in the cellar, we can't feel it, be it, see it, appreciate it, or benefit from it. So being in the fifth dimensional thoughts all day long, it's really the best place to be at all times. And then call in the help that we talked about. Was it last week or the week before? The angelic realms, your spirit guides, the planetary guides, whoever that is. Call those people in, to those entities in, to come and assist you. So you're joined already to the whole of the system. You know you are. You have this flowing through you. Wow, how exciting was all this. But if you sweat the small stuff, I haven't sold my house, my car's broken down, I don't know where my next pounds coming from, I don't like my husband, I want to If you keep dipping into there, just stop and ask yourself, right, come on, let's write this out, think it out, talk it out. Why do you keep sinking into this comfort zone? So it's quite a kick up the proverbial, I think, today. Is to say, right, you have two choices here. You can either go back to life the way it was before COVID, the way you were before COVID, the way you were before this lovely lockdown and this reset button. You have the choice, because there's a lot of people wanting that. But it's resistance now, because there's so much light on everything, every dark corner, from Black Lives Matter to the refugees sailing across the sea. All this is now exposed. And from here, with intelligence, with money, with knowledge, we can help. We can help. And that's what I find exciting. Is that desire to help comes from just the pleasure of helping, rather than desperation of hiding our own pain. Because we've hidden our own pain for so many years. So we've operated from hiding our own pain. When you've dealt with the pain and released all this, wow, you're already doing the purpose that you came to do, which is shine light on everything you can. So when a girlfriend, a boyfriend comes to you, a male comes to you and says, this person did this, this and this, you don't join in with that down here. You'd say, well, that's interesting. I wonder why they behave like that. Do you see, even one conversation with one person can change their attitude, can change what happens from then on. It expands. It really does. One conversation, one angry word out of your mouth goes out as an angry word and joins other angry words and makes that angry word bigger. Every appreciation, every thank you, every I love you that goes out joins the other I love you, joins the other appreciation, joins the other, we are all one, we're in this together. And we are in this together. Individually, we are in this together. We sort ourselves out. We can then spread it and spread it out. And that's beautiful. So we will, okay, each and every one of you today, please give 5 minutes to asking for a sign from your guides, how they're going to show you a sign. Do you understand that? Make a pact with them. Ask them, right, I would like you to place a brown feather in front of me. I would like you to swing that light. I would like you, this is how I. So you start contracting with them. You start saying, I know you're there, so how are we going to work together? One of the ways I know that they're coming through to me is the ringing in the ears we've talked about before. That's definitely a download. If you get that ringing in the ears, you know you're getting some sort of information. Stop, allow it coming in. Another beautiful way is when you feel them on your head, you can literally feel company around your head. Don't be frightened of it. It's just fabulous. If you think this is all pie in the sky, have a look at that. Go and just say, actually, I don't believe in all this angel shit. I don't believe in all this. I'm not sure I believe in life after death. I'd like to believe it, but I don't. Rather than block it off and say, I don't believe it, just say, well, let me expand my knowledge and see if I still don't believe it, and still don't believe it, still believe it. Hang on, there's an awful lot of people saying this is a recurring nightmare or a recurring dream, lifetime after lifetime. Do I believe that, or do I believe this stuff? Well, the fact we're all sitting here, we know that we don't believe this sort of stuff. But it has to become your knowledge now, not something somebody else has preached at you. It has to be inner knowledge. It has to be who you want to be. It needs to be, I want to live from this fifth dimensional life. I want life to flow. I want to expand. I want more. I want more of who I am. And that's the gift they're offering you. Invite them in today. Invite them and say, help me to understand more of me. I'm not frightened of triggers now. Bring them on. Bring them on. So until we meet again, they're wishing you lots of love and light and saying we will meet you in the fifth dimension in 4 weeks' time. Thank you, Tara.
Fantastic. How lovely. Really beautiful. Thank you, Wendy.
I've no idea what the time is. They've obviously just stopped. So what, are we all right?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just stop the